Time now for a special report. As marketers, we talk a lot about the funnel, but so much of the discussion divides it between the top and the bottom. What about the middle? This is where all the interesting stuff happens. Our colleague in London, Theo Theodorou, is here with more.
Hi everybody, I'm Theo. I'm the UK MD for Microsoft Advertising. I'm here today to talk to you about the missing middle, which I'd love to tell you is the success story of my post-lockdown exercise regime, but it's not. It's really about how people really experience brands. And I want to start with a question. What is the purpose of models? Models are great because they simplify the complicated. They help us codify the world. And it makes it easier for us to communicate ideas and results. Models help us explain what's happening with performance, with brand. And I don't think there's any more loved or hated model than the marketing funnel. And here's the thing with the funnel. It's broken. How can the funnel be a linear journey? We're not sheep. I'm not a sheep. You're not a sheep. We're not going to be herded from the field of brand awareness into the paddock of consideration and then dutifully convert with the gate closing behind us on a cost per acquisition or a purchase on the site. That's not how we think. So what really happens in that missing middle? Well, actually, it's what really happens with our brains. It's more like a neural network. We forget things, we see things, we revisit things. And before we know it, what we've bought or the service or whatever it is we're doing, we've decided to do, it felt natural. And that's hard to define for marketeers. And again, if we go back to the purpose of models, it's why the marketing funnel is so powerful, because it gives us a common language and it simplifies the complicated. But is it fit for purpose? And I think one of the problems we have is, in particular with digital, we've painted ourselves into a corner. When digital started booming, one of the promises as an industry you made is that everything is measurable on digital. Every impression, every click, and what happens at the top, middle, and the bottom of the funnel can be explained. So how do you solve for the missing middle? I'll be honest, it's not easy. There are no easy answers to this, but there are some things to think about. First one, how do you bridge the gap between brand and demand experiences? As an example, we know from LinkedIn, when a brand runs both performance and brand together, they're 6 times more likely to convert. Your consumer doesn't know a search ad is meant to drive a conversion, and that a brand ad is meant to actually drive some sort of awareness into them that they will sit on and consider and eventually convert. They both can have an impact in the top and the bottom, and more importantly, in the middle of that funnel. A second point to think about is, how do you bring purpose to the front and center of your advertising? We know 85% of consumers say they'll only consider a brand if they trust, and 72% say they are more likely to support a brand that are authentic in their advertising. And finally, let's think about data. How do we use data in more compelling ways to map that missing middle? One example, share of search is a really good indicator of how much mental availability your entire campaign is delivering. It all comes back down to the purpose of a model, to codify, to simplify the complicated, something that we can get around and understand what's happening. But here's the thing. If we have identified that there is a missing middle, is the funnel something that is fit for purpose? And I'd like to end by quoting the famous physician Richard Feynman. I'd rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that can't be questioned. Thank you.